Good morning. My name is Richard Tewton. It's my pleasure for the next 3 days to be your MC. And we got off to an auspicious start already. We begin our conference this morning with an acknowledgement of country. And so I invite Kim Wormsley to the stage to offer that. I was wondering where you were. To offer the acknowledgement. Would you please welcome Kim?
Good morning. Minyangu, Jimalang, Nanya, Nari, Kim. We are here today as humans, gathering to forge a common humanity through conversation and dialogue of each other's cultures and beliefs. To acknowledge our existence as important pieces to a puzzle that is our world. We all play an equal part in promoting peace and compassion towards others. While our contribution may be small, it's vital to the connection of the millions of people around the world who pray for the same cause. We respect each other's beliefs and commonalities, choosing kindness and love over hate and terror. We choose friendship and positive relationships so that we can nurture and practice the peace within ourselves in order to understand and embrace others. I pray here today and over the next 2 days that the spirit of my ancestors watch over us when we learn of others' wisdoms and faiths, that we may be accepting and appreciative of such diverse connections to God. Over the next 3 days, we are blessed to have guests from California, Singapore, Paris, Wales, Western Australia, Canberra, Brisbane, and good old Toowoomba. The richness of our guests is the conduit that enables further connections to our fellow beings living a human experience. We all want peace for humanity. As a descendant of the original inhabitants of this land, Australia, a proud original of the Mununjali people of Bow Desert and the Wurundjeri people of New South Wales, I would like to acknowledge you all here today as fellow human beings. To Pure Land Learning College for your invitation to this wonderful event that has brought us here together. To Mr. Hanif, Mei Ling, Venerables, thank you for your love and kindness. To all Indigenous peoples of the world and our non-Indigenous ancestors of the world who hold the memories, traditions and stories of our past as a planet, I acknowledge you. To the traditional custodians, caretakers of the land upon which we meet today, the Jadawa and Gaibal people, I would like to say thank you and I acknowledge you. Have a happy, prosperous conference and may peace be with you all.
Thank you, Kim. Before we move on to a more civic welcome, I really want to find out a couple of things. Many of us have been to these types of conferences before, but some of us may have never been to one of the international peace conferences organised by Pure Land College. If this is your very first time at one of these conferences, can you just raise your hand? Let's just have a look. Now the rest of us who are old hands at this, would you please welcome them? It's great to have you all with us, and certainly one of the great joys of a conference such as this is getting to know new people. So I hope that you exercise the looking at the name tags so that you can get to know different people, particularly people you've never met before, people from out of town. Hands up those who've come from that great metropolis called Toowoomba. Okay. Hands down. Brisbane. That includes me too. I believe someone's from the far distant realms of Bribie Islands, and that's Peter there. So, and some of us have come from overseas. Would our overseas guests please indicate? Yes, a variety of countries too, and we'll get to know them as the conference moves on. Right now, though, I invite Councillor Jeff McDonald to the stage to offer a formal welcome on behalf of the City of Toowoomba. Jeff's representing the Mayor of Toowoomba, Councillor Paul Antonio. I should say from the outset before he does, because he invariably will, that he and I have known each other for a long time. I've known his family for, almost 40 years. But it was my great pleasure to officiate at Jeff's wedding some years ago, so we have that sort of connection as well. Would you please welcome Councillor Jeff McCollum?
Thank you very much indeed, Richard, and you certainly did beat me to the punch. It'll be 24 years in March next year, in fact, that you performed that duty for us at St Luke's Church, so a very special time indeed, and we look back on it fondly, that's for sure. And in fact, I haven't dusted off the photo album from the wedding day, and I must do that, Richard, just to see how both of us have aged so gracefully over the last 24 years. But ladies and gentlemen, can I firstly acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather today, the Jarrawa and Guidewell peoples, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge Kim Wormsley on a wonderful acknowledgement to country at the start today, ladies and gentlemen. It's brilliant. And welcome to Toowoomba Regional Council's Art Precinct, the Empire Theatre Precinct, and you're in a wonderful theatre here, the Armitage Theatre at the Heritage Bank Auditorium, or Armitage Auditorium, Heritage Bank Theatre, one way or the other, but whichever way it goes, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome indeed into our Arts Precinct. Can I acknowledge Veneral Master Chin Kung, AM, President and Founder of Pure Land Learning College. Can I also acknowledge Venerable Wu Xin, Executive President of Pure Land Learning College Association, members of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, who's the joint organiser of this event, and how great is it to have the International Interfaith Conference right here in Toowoomba, members of the Goodwill Committee of Toowoomba. I'd also like to acknowledge the President of the Toowoomba Chamber of Commerce, Joy Mingay, with us today, the business community, obviously a key component of all things peace, and the Chair of Toowoomba Together, John Minns, who is down at the front of the table here. But importantly, ladies and gentlemen, as Richard has done, visitors from all parts of Queensland, interstate, and particularly visitors who've travelled internationally to be with us here today. I want to go one step further than Richard and just have a show of hands as to who this would be their first time into Toowoomba. Show of hands. There we go. Well, for you people, I hope there's not more than 10, because I've got 10 Toowoomba Violet pins to give to you today, and I'll leave those with Richard, okay, and he can vet those as you come through. So if you wouldn't mind bringing your passport and other identification with you, just to make sure that we do that correctly. But ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to see you all here in the Garden City of Australia, Toowoomba, and you're here at a very special time, albeit the weather will be warm over the next few days. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's always heartening to see so many of you here at these events, committed to the important common goal of upholding peace and harmony in our region. The Mayor sends his regards and apologies that he's unable to be with you this morning. He is wholeheartedly committed to working for peace in our region and in the world, and is grateful for the work being undertaken to see this goal realised. We speak a lot about peace, but today I want to take us back to basics and begin by defining what peace actually is. Peace, according to the Oxford Dictionary: tranquility, freedom from disturbance, mental or emotional calm, a state or period in which there is no war or a war has ended, a stage free from civil disorder. Now, by examining these definitions, we see that there is a personal as well as a collective responsibility in bringing about peace in our world. I challenge you now to stop and imagine for a moment that each person in the world was tranquil, free from disturbance, and in a state of mental or emotional calm. Let's think about how this would affect the way these people would deal with each other, the way they deal with issues facing themselves or challenges in their communities. Now, whilst obviously I'm taking the liberty of being a little idealistic, if individually all people were at peace, we know that we wouldn't see the family and community violence that we see in our own region, or indeed the major conflicts and wars that we often think of when we look at the broader goal of world peace. I make this point because some of us often feel powerless to help those who we see suffering on the other side of the world. Images that roll across our TV screen are often too much to bear, and we find ourselves asking how we personally can make a difference. I believe we all have a role to play, and if we're to be serious about walking together peacefully in our own families and indeed the Toowoomba regional community, we must celebrate our commonality and understand our respect, our differences, and there is room for everyone. Respect and goodwill is at the heart of how we live. Indeed, I believe we all have a responsibility to ensure every member of this community feels welcomed and valued, and indeed that we learn from one another. Toowoomba has great cultural and religious diversity, and as leaders, my colleagues and I want to make sure that we can continue on that important journey of becoming a model city of peace and harmony. It is through education, cooperation and celebration that we create the foundation for religious harmony. By allowing all faiths and religions to come together and coexist peacefully, we begin to build the road to truly sustainable peace and harmony within our community. Goodwill is strong in this community, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is evidenced by the way that over many years we've responded to those who come to Toowoomba seeking a haven, a safe haven, seeking peace. It's a remarkable collective achievement of which we are very proud. Council was proud, very proud indeed, to make our region a refugee welcome zone back in 2013. And through our multicultural program, and I acknowledge Roberto Garcia here this morning from Toowoomba Regional Council, our multicultural officer, and also the programs that support our young people, we continue to work on enriching our community's understanding of each other and the hundreds of cultures that call our region home. I also want to acknowledge and publicly thank the good folk at Pure Land Learning College, the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group and the Toowoomba Goodwill Committee for your ongoing and tireless efforts for this cause. There is no doubt that our region is a better place because of your involvement. We are so fortunate that you each call our region home. We're delighted to be hosting this important event here in Toowoomba and are proud of our reputation for valuing diversity and celebrating difference. Have a fantastic few days of discussions as well as enjoying the Toowoomba hospitality. This evening, for instance, we have our annual Christmas in the CBD, tomorrow evening Cobb & Co markets, the Wonderland of Lights, which is, I regard, the largest in the Southern Hemisphere in a public park, takes place Saturday evening, and carols, Christmas carols, the mayoral carols in the park on Sunday afternoon and evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to hearing of the outcome of the next couple of days, and can I conclude by saying, Shalom. Good morning.